Hi everyone, so today I am making, well not today, it's like this video is over the span of like a week. I'm making this Lunar New Year dragon hat. If you don't know, I have made dragon hats in the past and I have like a in-depth YouTube video tutorial on how to make one, and I also have a pattern. It's Lunar New Year and it's Year of the Dragon and it only happens once in 12 years, so I made the pattern $1 because why not? Anyways, this is what I'm making. I kind of switched it up for the other one by nobody comment on my chip nails. I'm sorry, I'll fix it tomorrow. I switched it up and I made like glass eyeballs, and I show you how to do that. And then I also did some sculpey teeth. I think it's too good. It came out too cute. Very perfect for Lunar New Year. Anyways, that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say. Before I can even start making anything, we need to dye all of the yarn. I'll be showing you how I dye my yarn. I pretty much dye all of my wool at this point, unless I'm like gifted it or it's like a friend's brand or something like that. But for the most part, I dye all of my wool. Sometimes I get cotton that's like already dyed. I sometimes dye my own cotton. Sometimes I use natural dyes, but today I'm using acid dye, and a lot of people are like, oh my god, acid dye. No, like, don't freak out over that. It's literally just a dye. It's totally fine. This is a skein. Add little ties so they don't undo in the pot. So I've just got like a ball of acrylic right here. Alright, as you can see, I'm at my parents' sink, and I'm just gonna cut little pieces. For a while, I never did this because I was like, it always turned out fine, and then one time it turned out like an absolute mess, and so now I just do this all the time. I typically do 3 per skein. I have my 5 hanks here. I'm gonna dye 4 of them red and then 1 of them yellow. So I am in my parents' like unfinished part of the basement, and the reason why I work here is there's a crappy laundry sink. The reason why I like the crappy laundry sink is because I can wash everything out in there. Here I have just like a pot on my hot plate, and it's just like a pot of hot water. It's gonna take a while to like get this much water to an appropriate temperature, but essentially what I'm gonna do with my 5 hanks is I'm going to soak them in some water to prepare them to be dyed. The reason we soak them in water is so they dye evenly. So I've got my little basin of water, and I just put all of my hanks in here. Oh, it was a bit much. By the time I'm ready to dye, everyone says it looks like ramen. Like every time I post this online, everyone's like, oh my gosh, haha, noodles, forbidden noodles. Enough playing around. Got my pot of water. Sorry, you can't really see me very well, but I have my dye stock solution here. Essentially, it comes in powder form, and you have to be safe mixing this. So typically, I'll go outside with like a respirator on, and then mix it into liquid form, and then once it's liquid, it's fine. Yeah. I know it's horrible to look at. Also, it says October 4th, because I didn't bother changing the labels. I just know to change it every 4th day of the month, so that's what I've been doing. But it's getting hot. It's getting there. Whatever. I don't go by measurements anymore. I feel like I've been doing it long enough where I'm starting to like, I can just look at it and eyeball it and know what I need. I hope no like dye purists get mad at me. That seems like plenty. Maybe a bit more. Okay, maybe a bit more. There we go. This is a lot of dye. I was hoping to get it pretty red, or at least like pretty vibrant. I'm gonna leave it to get a bit hotter, and I'll be back to throw this in. Alright, I'm wearing different headphones actually, because I like to run on the treadmill while things do their thing, but I think this is an appropriate temperature. So what I do now, roll up my sleeves, I get my yarn that I've soaked, and I'm just like wringing it out a bit. So I've got my 4 skeins ready to go. I'm just gonna plop them in. And give her a good stir. Ow, it's hot! Alright, hi everyone. I've kind of set it aside so I can get started. And the yellow, so I have my dye here. This is, I think, warmed up to the appropriate temperature. Let her do her thing. I'm gonna turn it down and I'm actually gonna let it sit on the stove while I quickly take a shower. My other pot is still in here. Alright, I'm back and I decided to wear black so I wouldn't get anything on me. Hi everyone, this is my sink. Oh, is this not even on? My bad. This is the sink. It is now rinsing time. I have a hockey stick up here. It's just laying across here. It's where I dry my towels, but I usually like to hang these up while I wash the rest of my pieces, and then I'm gonna squeeze them out with a towel. Not just— oh no! How did that happen? I'm going to grab a towel, and as you can tell, they're all dripping. But I've squeezed as much out as I can with my hands. Now it's time to put them in the towel. I typically do 2 at a time. I just step on it to squeeze the water out. All right, there they are on the hockey stick. I'm gonna let them dry for a bit before I bring them upstairs tonight so they can dry further. I just want them to like get the rest of the drips out of the way, then I'll squeeze them in the towel again. Hey, so a few days has passed and the yarn is finally dry. Well, I mean, it dried pretty quickly, but I just kind of left it for a few days. And wow, look at that red. That red is gorgeous. The yellow, it is as vibrant as it is on camera as it is in real life. Maybe it's more vibrant in real life. It's literally electric. It's so good. So normally this is when I use my hank winder, but I'm only gonna do, I think, 2 balls of red right now. And then to put it back into a hank, I twist it a bunch of times around my wrists. And then I leave that little bit on my hand. And I flip it back over. And then it's not pretty, but it's nice and safe. I figured I would make extra red because why not? I mean, this is like a gorgeous red. Wow, stunning. But I'm gonna show you how I use my skein winder. By the way, you might be looking at this couch and being like, wow, look, this is my workroom. This is where I work from. For context, the camera's sitting on the edge of my desk, and this is my little room. I reorganized my shelf. I spent 3 hours reorganizing my shelf, and I'm so proud of myself. Everything is in beautiful bins. Everything's like properly labeled, and I've got my beautiful yarn wall. You know, this is the year to get my things together. Anyways, this is the Swift. I actually got mine in Nova Scotia. It is made out of Nova Scotian driftwood. I know, right? And it was like $120. I can't believe I spent that much on it, but I didn't want to order one on Amazon because I didn't know how good the quality was, and there was a shop near me that was selling them. I typically don't like winding my hanks into cakes unless I'm using it. The thing is, I don't want to like put it into a cake and then have it sit all tight and crinkled up, and then it's kind of all like messed up and crinkly by the time I use it. At this point, I'm just cutting off like the little blue acrylic pieces that I used to keep it together. Time for me to undo it, and it's just kind of like looped around itself. Actually, the funny thing is all of my ball winders are secondhand. I've either received them as like gifts from older women who are like making their knitting collection smaller. A nice big cake. The less fast you wind, the slower you wind it, the larger your cake's gonna be. But if you wind it really fast, your cake's gonna be like really condensed because you're doing it so fast. Anyways, I always take the middle thread out because I like pulling from the center, personally. Look how freaking satisfying that is. Cake. I need to get some WD-40 and fix that squeak. It is so squeaky. For what? This is the yellow. It's so bright next to the red. Oh, the colors are so good. I almost always use a 4mm crochet hook. It's my favorite crochet hook, and you can see It is bent ever so slightly right at the end. I don't know why, I just like it like that. We have our hat. All the dragon hats are built, they're called dragon hats, they're built off of hats. I usually get my hats at thrift stores. Sometimes there are liquidation centers that are selling like a bunch of hats from a company. I don't know what it is. I don't know what 4 imprint solid heathered cap means. It looks like a mistake. Anyways, my mom found like a whole bunch of them, like brand new in the package at a liquidation store. Typically, I like to stick with a hat color that is going to be the same color as like what I'm using. But, you know, I have a bunch of these, so I'm just going to use this. I normally start from the center, and I'm just going to crochet over this hat. Finished the piece that goes on top of the baseball cap. Put it on to demonstrate it. I also made the piece that goes over the end of the hat. They don't fit very well right now because I'm not ready to wash them. But I like finishing that first because I use it as like a little dish to put all of my smaller pieces in. Anyways, guys, so it's been a few days since the last time I have set up my camera, but a little update on where we're at. I have finished all of the pieces that are going to go on the dragon. I will talk about them in 1 second. I ended up only using 1 ball of red for the whole thing. Usually I need 2 balls or like 1.5, but it's because I decided to do the horns in yellow that I didn't have to like use that whole extra ball. So I'm just separating all my pieces so I can show you guys what I did. Okay, all the red pieces that goes over the actual cap. Then we have the piece that goes over the brim. More red pieces. I have the lips of the dragon. I also have the nose bridge. Then I have the eyelids. I have 4 eyelids. Moving on to the yellow pieces, I have the horns in yellow. So there's actually 2 horns on each side, or it's like I sew them like this, so it's technically like 1 horn, but it splits off into 2. It's just easier to assemble it this way. So 2 big horns, 2 little horns in yellow. And then the next pieces I mixed with some like this mohair silk blend, so it's very fluffy. I think I'm gonna brush it up. The scales, usually I do 3 scales per side, but they're pretty chunky because I mixed it, so I'm gonna use 2 scales per side. I have 4 extra scales that I want to go down like the mane, this area, like right down the head like this. Like kind of like that. Other than that, I think I made pretty good progress. I used a lot less yarn than I had anticipated. I used almost the whole yellow ball for all of these pieces. I only used 1 red ball because there was a lot less red than I anticipated. So now I have a bunch of extra red yarn, which isn't a bad thing. I thought it would be fun to sculpt my own little teeth. I started doing that lately, and it's been quite some fun. I'm just gonna take a little chunk out. I don't know how many teeth I want to make or how big I want to make them. I have my little tinfoil thing I like keeping here for when I'm ready to put it in the oven, let it bake. I like that. I like that. That's quite nice. I will show you the trick I do, because you're like probably like, how are you gonna attach this, huh? You're gonna glue it and pray for the best? I mean, you could do that, or I get a needle I don't really care too much about. Well, I mean, you can clean it after, but I like getting a big needle. I like to poke through it a couple times. Like I'm poking through the clay, and I'm just like making this little hole. I go through the other side just to make sure the hole is defined and my needle will fit. I like making a couple holes, depending on the size of it. Something this big, I think I'll make 3 holes. It's really ugly, I'll tell you that. It's not the prettiest, but this will allow me to basically sew the tooth like right onto the hat. And then after that, I put yarn around it so you can hide like the holes. Oh, these are cute! Time to put these little guys in the oven. So I did 4 of these like little itty bitty baby teeth. And they're actually not that itty bitty. They're still pretty big, comically large, one would say. And then I also did 2 of these like more fanged kind of teeth. So I'm gonna put these in the oven. I use Mod Podge Super Gloss. This is the size I can only get it in. I can't get it in a smaller size for some reason. It smells kind of funky. I get my little tooth and I just gloss it up. I try to make sure there aren't too many streaks. It's a really, really thick Mod Podge. For the eyeballs, I have these little glass things, cabochons. I'm just gonna make sure they're clean. To make the job of doing the iris easier, I like to cut out my pupils, like little templates here. I have a bunch because some of them did not turn out too well. Smack in the middle of the eyeball, and I'm just gonna peel the rest off so I don't have to deal with it. And then I paint it using this little template, which helps me quite a bit. There we go. Looks pretty bad right now, but once we peel it off, it should be a lot easier. This is how it's looking so far. And when you see the little specks, I just take a needle and I scrape those little specks off. Perfect. It is the next day. I have my eyeballs, just painted the black part, and then I called it a day. I was like, we're done. We're done. Anyways, here they are. I'm gonna paint the rest of them. Maybe we'll start with some red and just kind of like have some fun with it. It doesn't need to be perfect. I'm just painting all over the place. I like to do things in layers. I'll do like a thin layer, let it dry, do a thin layer, let it dry. This is a nice thing to do when you're working on like another project. This is what the back side looks like, and that is what the front looks like. Ooh. Now that the red is pretty much dry, I'm gonna go back in with more red, and I'm just going to add just like a little bit towards kind of the area around the pupil, if that makes sense. I just want the area around the pupil to be a little bit darker or more concentrated with red than the rest. I didn't put too much on there, just a little bit. That is what the front looks like. Looking pretty good already. I'm gonna go in with orange now. I'm kind of gonna do the same thing, like dabbing it on essentially. I'm gonna obviously be more focused on the center, and then the parts that oops, any mistake you make, you can just wipe it off. I still want to go in with yellow and have the yellow be visible, so that's why I'm not going like too heavy with the orange on the outskirts. It's kind of hard to tell. When I'm ready, just for the center, I put like a lot more of orange. And that is what the back looks like. That is what the front looks like. Now that everything is dry, it is time for the final layer, which is yellow. This one I'm applying with like no skill. It's just going all over the eyeball. It looks like these. It'll look cool once this part is like covered and you can kind of see it peeking out. Usually I like working on like one thing and then exclusively working on that until I finish it. All my pieces are dry, which is good. So these are our hairy pieces, and I think I'm gonna brush them up a bit. I think this is called like a slicker brush, and I got a big one so I can cover more surface area. I'm just gonna give my pieces a little brushy. I'm not gonna touch the red ones. I just want my yellow ones I mix with mohair to be all fluffy. So you can obviously tell a huge difference between the ones I didn't make fluffy and the ones I made fluffy. And this also kind of blends the white that I put in it. Look at that, all hairy. I'm gonna brush it a bit more, but you can already tell a difference. This is actually so hairy. It looks like a caterpillar. I'm just feeling if it's actually soft. Quite the difference, quite the difference. I'm gonna repeat that for this one, and then I'm also gonna do it to all these little guys. Look at the scale compared to what it is. It is so good when it's brushed out. Oh my gosh, I want to play with its little hair. Beep, 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 beep. Look at this guy. Brushing them all out. They're so fluffy and cute. Oh my goodness. I'm just going to set those aside because we're going to start attaching everything to the hat. I've got my hat here. I'm going to put the first thing on. I'm just going to pin it to the hat. Normally I just like start sewing, but I think I need to pin it down this time. Oh, I put it on the head lopsided, but that doesn't change anything. I'm going to get my red thread. I don't even know if I'm going to get this done tonight because I've got other things to work on. Anyways, hat's looking good. Fits good. Fits great. Looking nice. And I also used just like a little bit of polyfill. I have a little bit of polyfill with me. I don't use a lot. I like barely use any. Like look at this much. Then I kind of thin it out like a hot dog. Hot dog, hot dog. I will show you where I'm at so far. I've got the nose bridge on, the nose, which I forgot to do, and I did quickly. Looking pretty cute, pretty good. Doesn't look quite dragon-like right now. The eyebrows, huge. Usually they're only about the size of like the nose bridge, but because I doubled up my yarn and brushed it to all hell, they're massive, but that's okay. I think it would be cool to have it go on the side of the head like this and kind of like flow into the scales that I'm putting up here. The eyebrows are on and they look so goofy, funny. Yeah, I'm trying to trust the process, but time to add the horns. So I do 2 horns. I do the big one and then the little guy, and then I kind of sew them together so they become like one that like splits. I don't know, I think that's like the funnest, easiest way, and it gives it a lot of structure. I think it's looking pretty good so far. I don't have a lot of room on the sides, so I'll have to decide if I want to do like 1 scale. I did 2 scales per side, but there's not a lot of surface area, so we'll see how this goes and I'll make that decision later. I have the horns on now and they look so goofy. They look like macaroni. Yeah, I'm still trusting the process as best as I can. Did I go a little too yellow? Should I have made the horns another color? Maybe the horns will look better like brown. I'm not sure. Like, it looks good in real life, but now that I'm looking at it in the viewfinder, I'm not sure if I actually like it like that. So I switched the horns out for brown ones, and I think they look a lot better. I think the contrast, it really helps. There is just too much going on, I think. Now it is time for the little scales. Honestly, I could just leave it as is, and I feel like it would be really good. But to add an extra bit of pizzazz, I think adding the scales will be good. But yeah, I think the changing the horns made a huge difference. Alright, here's where I'm at. I have the pins in just to keep it on the head form, but I decided to put 1 scale on each side because there's just like not enough room for 2. And then I put the rest of them right down the back, which I think is so fun. I don't know if it sticks up too much. Is it too much? I don't know. That's fun. Alright, how are we feeling about it now? Yeah, I think that's a lot better. That looks a lot smoother. It is now, it's the same day. I said I was gonna come back and do this tomorrow, but I decided it is literally almost 12 o'clock, so I guess technically tomorrow. And I figured, you know, might as well finish it off tonight. I kind of have a burst of energy. So I have wire. I'm just going to make the mustache part. I go into depth about it in my other tutorial, so I'm not gonna do that here. What I like to do, as you can see, there is a nose, and we got wire spinning around everywhere. Lovely. I like to jam it through the crochet. Then I think I'm just gonna twist them around each other until it gets more stable. I kind of made this up by myself. I don't even know where I got the idea from. Oh yeah, because I was crocheting around wire and it kept poking out. And so I was looking for tape. I played hockey before, have an abundance of hockey tape. And what I like to do is I wrap the ends in hockey tape. And I show that in the other tutorial. But as you can see, I just kind of bend the wire. Can you see it? Into the shape of the mustache. And then I take, these are my tape scissors. Scissors I exclusively use to cut tape because I hate it when scissors are sticky. So these are the sticky scissors. I just wrap the wire in my bits of hockey tape because when you crochet over the hockey tape, that keeps the crochet in place and it doesn't slip around. And I find like once you wrap it around quite a bit, it gets pretty secure. This is what the mustache looks like so far, and it's nice because it's still bendable. When I went to art school, so many teachers hated hot glue guns. They hate it. By the way, I'm wearing pajama pants. Warning, I wear pajama pants a lot, especially when it's the nighttime. Anyways, I had a lot of art teachers in university be so against hot glue guns. They're like anti-hot glue gun. They think it's bad for everything, and you know, I agree to an extent. There is a time and a place for a hot glue gun. This is the time and place. By the way, I am using the yellow yarn, and I go through like all of the kind of like, all the techniques I use in the tutorial, so I'm not really going to talk about it right now because I go into depth about it. But anyways, the glue essentially like really sticks it to the tape. I guess you could wrap it around without hot glue, but you also run the risk of it coming off. That's on there pretty well. When I get to the end, I would say that's the most difficult part because like there's nothing to really wrap it on. I just kind of squeeze it with my fingers and hope for the best. So that's what it looks like. Kind of cool, right? It gives it like the yarn texture, and it's obviously made out of yarn. Just, I don't know, it just elevates it so much. I think it gives it character. As you can see, it looks so goofy, so ridiculous. The eyes look too far apart. Trust me, the eyelids are going to literally solve all of our problems. Look how cool the eyeballs are. I know it's a little wonky because I'm holding them like this, but just appreciate how cool that is. The glass eyes really add so much to it, and I'm not too worried. I thought I'd show you how I attach the teeth. Now, I like to add gums after this, but I have one tooth I'm going to attach. Little holes into the top of the tooth. And with those little holes, I literally sew straight through them to get them to be attached to the hat. They're pretty attached. Like, they're not going anywhere. Yeah, you can push them around and move them. I literally just sew directly through the hole, put my needle through there. I literally just sew it to the crochet hat. Now, to do the gums, I'm working on the same tooth, and I don't know if I'm gonna move you guys closer. I have this little chain piece. I think I chained like 8, and I just wrap it around the tooth like so. And I just hold it in place with my finger as I sew around it. As you can see, it goes straight from like clay to crochet, but because it has this little piece of crochet, I don't know, it just like softens it a bit, and I think it really adds to it. And I'm gonna show you how good the teeth turned out. Isn't that so amazing? Love it. I think we're pretty much done. I think this is very Year of the Dragon. I think I knocked it out of the park when it comes to this guy. Look at those teeth. Let me bend these guys out of the way. I'm gonna take a better video in the morning. It is now daytime. It's not sunny out today. It's very cloudy, but we have completed the dragon hat. That's what the back looks like. I might have to sew down the back. I don't know. I kind of like how they're, you know, up and about. Side, front is eyeball. Try it on. I think it turned out wonderful. I think this is perfect for Lunar New Year, especially Year of the Dragon. I am Year of the Dragon. That was actually pretty easy to do. It was really fun to do like the teeth and the eyes differently, switching it up a little. That's always fun to do. But I thought I'd show you in like a nice brighter area with a white background so you can kind of see it better. I am in my parents' basement. This is their bathroom, and I set up my ring light on top of the sink. Oh, it's not nice. This is my setup. Yeah, I set it up over the sink. Don't worry. Nobody really uses this sink because it's in the basement. So luckily I have this area, and then I just kind of put it on the sink and take photos with a white background. She's all finished. Look how beautiful she turned out. I think the glass eyes are like, they just tie it all together. Just too good. And the sculpted teeth, also really good. I could also put another layer of varnish on them. I think that would be like extra nice. I do like how this turned out. It is quite fun, the mane. I think I made the right decision by swapping out the horn color. In the end, I'm extremely satisfied with the way this turned out. Let's like show you this side, and I'll show you the back. Yeah, I can't believe how good it turned out. I bought this jelly cat. Don't they look like twins? So cute. He's so cute. This is so cute. It's so good. Anyways, I wish everyone a wonderful new year. If you celebrate, if you don't celebrate, I hope all of your dreams come true. And anyone born in Year of the Dragon, like me, have an extra happy new year because it's your year. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see me again, subscribe. If you don't want to see me again, then don't subscribe. But I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!